Ever wondered why God's anointed often face trials and tribulations? It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? After all, if they are chosen by the divine, why do they get attacked? Consider the story of David, God's anointed king of Israel. Despite being chosen by God, David faced numerous adversities, from being hunted by King Saul to facing a rebellion led by his own son, Absalom. This is depicted in the book of Samuel, where it says, "Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats." So why did this happen? Why did David, a man after God's own heart, face such trials? The answer lies in understanding that God uses these trials to refine and strengthen his anointed. It's through these trials that David's faith and character were tested, refined, and ultimately strengthened. Consider another example, the Apostle Paul. Despite being one of the most influential figures in the early church, Paul faced numerous trials, including shipwrecks, imprisonments, and beatings. In his second letter to the Corinthians, Paul writes, "3 times I was beaten with rods, once I was pelted with stones, 3 times I was shipwrecked, I spent a night and a day in the open sea." Yet Paul views these trials not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth. He writes, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Paul understood that his sufferings were not in vain, but were preparing him for an eternal reward. In the book of James, we find a similar theme. James encourages believers to rejoice in trials, writing, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." These scriptures illustrate that trials and tribulations are not signs of God's disfavor, but rather tools he uses to shape and refine his anointed. They serve to test and strengthen our faith, encouraging us to rely more on God and less on our own strength. That's not to say it's easy. Trials can be difficult and painful. But as believers, we can take comfort in knowing that our trials are not in vain. They are tools in the hands of a loving God, used to shape us into the people he wants us to be. So next time you find yourself in the midst of a trial, remember the examples of David and Paul. Remember that your trials are not in vain, but are being used by God to strengthen your faith and character. If this message resonates with you, if it brings you comfort in your trials or challenges, then please do not hesitate to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this message with others. Let's spread the word and bring more blessings today.